Welcome to the Think Small podcast, hypergrowth for small businesses. So, what's slowing you down?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Think Small podcast. I'm here today with Jeff Easterling of ART and Associates. He'll be discussing with us what it means to own a creative company without being necessarily a creative person, being in the Army, being a family man, and so much more. Thank you, Jeff, for joining us today and giving us your time.
Great. Glad to be here.
Awesome. So let's just jump right into it. Where we discuss growth is super important, and I know that you're only 7 months into ART and Associates, but what does growth feel like in how you got here and where you're going next? And I know that's a loaded question that we'll touch in a few different ways.
Yeah, growth feels like creativity. We're in this point where, as you mentioned, we're under a year, so there's a lot of let's figure out where all the systems are and what needs to get improved. But there's so many opportunities that the team has felt like they couldn't bring up or couldn't lead. But now the company is employee owned. I'm like, this is your benefit that this company exceeds. So they've brought more and more creativity to, hey, maybe this is a new market, a new way of approaching our clients, a new way of forecasting that we could do. And we're starting to find ways to implement them. But I really rolled the balls out and said, team, come to me with ideas, and we can discuss how to grow them. And even if the idea isn't accepted, it changes the way I can just see the way my designer thinks or the way one of my project manager thinks, because they know, hey, I am an owner in the creativity and growth of this company, but I am also an owner of the outsized results of it. And that's been a great process.
That's fantastic. So talk to us a little bit about the benefits of going into an employee-owned business.
Yeah. So employee ownership challenges everybody to be more transparent. I can't hold all the resources and information to myself. I owe my employees, hey, my fellow employee owners, hey, this is how the company is doing right now. This is what's working. This is what's not working. So they feel a greater sense of stability. They feel a greater sense of ownership and a greater sense of responsibility to one another for like, hey, every time we leave the lights on, we're costing all of us money. At the same time, there's also a greater sense of oversight. Like, hey, I'm not the only person who's in charge. They know our board intimately and well. They know they can meet with them. There's a trustee because we're 100% ESOP. We have a trustee who is there to make sure that I'm doing the right thing. And that gives just that other sense of stability and normalcy. Like, hey, the CEO is in charge of the day-to-day, but he also has somebody he answers to as well. We're all employee owners. We're all in this together. Right. And that's shared. We're all in this together. Made it easier to transition from a leadership team that they'd grown accustomed to and enjoyed to, hey, who's this new guy? But knowing, hey, just like them, I have people I answer to, and they are some of the people I answer to.
Yeah.
It built a great sense of trust. And then finally, we were touching on growth. They want to grow. And now it's like, oh, I am an owner in this company. I see the benefits of growing too. And whether it's growth tasks like, hey, I wanted to update the employee handbook. I don't think we have enough leave. You guys do some research. What's a better model? To bigger things like, hey, we want to do some federal contracting. We want to take this on. People have been raising their hand, jumping to the front of the line, and that's been really exciting to see.
It sounds like with an employee-owned company, people have a voice, whereas they might not if it's a publicly traded or a private. Is that right?
Absolutely. They have a tremendous voice, and they have a microphone. Like, I am looking for ways to hear what they have to say. I'm looking for ways to amplify what they have to say. And sometimes it does cause tension. But I think it's the creative and positive tension that's necessary in a growth organization. Like, they're always like, when you want to acquire the next company, do we get a vote? Like, no, that's still my job specifically.
Right.
But through the board, next time we're having a conversation, share your idea. I'll still make the final decision.
Yeah.
But all the other things around here, team events, within your section, if you're a designer, you want to have the design team run a different way. I want to hear that, and I want to create that change with you. And we've found ways to work through the places where the answer is like, hey, I have to lead this myself. and ways to really empower that, hey, let's do this democratically. And it's been really fantastic.
It's amazing. So when you were talking about sometimes feeling tension on the team or among the employees, the first thing I thought of was the George Washington Bridge, where it's a tension suspension bridge, and without the tension, it's not durable, it's not long lasting. It's what keeps it going. So tension's not always a bad thing, right?
No, it's been a fantastic thing, and what I appreciate is, I have some excellent leaders here. One of the first things I did was stand up a more hierarchical organization. I know people love flat organizations. I come from the Army, so I'm used to hierarchy. And I took some of the flatness, everybody can talk to everybody, but also some of the hierarchy of, hey, every single issue doesn't need to come directly to me, or you feel like you can't come to me, but let's stand up some teams. So, hey, if you really think that's the best way to do it, let's have the design lead talk to the project management lead and then make a proposal together to talk to me.
That makes sense.
Or to talk to the board or to talk to the trustee about it. Rather than a million tiny ideas where that tension will never reach a critical mass. Rather, let's make some teams with some well-designed ideas where then it's not really even tension. It's just an idea.
Right.
And to your point, tension isn't bad, but it's best when it becomes a binding kind of idea.
Oh, yeah. I used to tell my team, if you come to me with a problem, also come to me with a solution.
Yes, I love that.
Right. So talk to me a little bit about the importance of autonomy within your teams and what that does for ART and Associates.
Yeah, autonomy has been the biggest push that I've been trying to lead. Is y'all are more than capable. I am not an artist. I am not a project manager. I'm not a salesperson. I can help with anything, but I can't lead any of the core processes.
Right.
Or should I? So no matter what has happened in the past, some of these people have been here for 3 ownership groups now. None of those ownership groups are here now. This company is employee owned. I happen to be the president and CEO, but that does not mean that I'm the only decision maker here. Bring me a proposal, make a proposal, share your ideas, and then don't sit back and wait for me to do it. Okay. I've seen, both in my time in the Army and at McKinsey, the best plans that I've ever seen come together came from the people who were closest to the execution. My ego isn't big enough, and my understanding of my role is high enough that I understand. I am never going to create a beautiful portrait, a beautiful mural. I'm never going to put a sign on a wall. So y'all need to make sure that those ideas are most in service of that.
Right.
That's what our client is going to see. If it comes from me, it's going to take 15 revisions to get back onto the wall. Right. If it comes from somebody who works at the wall, with the support of the people up the administrative totem pole, it'll be created in a way that best services our clients with the support of the organization, rather than created with the support of the organization and the clients are secondary. I think that's been helpful so far.
So autonomy even touches you, where you do your task, they do their tasks, and at the end of the day, everything gets done.
Absolutely. In the military, I was an officer. The biggest takeaway: the officer needs to be at the critical point of the battle, and the critical point of the battle is not always where the client is. It's not always where the manufacturing of our frame shop is happening. There's certain things that only I can do. Only I'm going to sit here and talk to the board. Only I'm going to, learn about employee ownership and enroll us in all these kind of courses. I need to be doing that. So the more time I spend trying to solve everybody else's problems, the less time I'm doing my job and the less proficient they're becoming at their job.
Right.
Everybody has a role, and they need to be at the critical point of their battle at their level. And we're working that through now.
Fantastic. So talk to us a little bit what your company does. I skipped over that and went right into the growth aspect of it. But for the guests listening today, just a high-level overview is great.
Yeah, ART and Associates is a branded environments company, which means that we put all of the interior design work into corporate, higher ed, healthcare, and hospitality spaces, minus the furniture. So when you imagine you walk into our headquarters, there's a backlit sign that says ART and Associates. We have a mural that was custom painted, and there's art all throughout, and wayfinding and signage to find the emergency exits, the door numbers for each office, etc. And that's pretty ubiquitous across American office buildings, maybe even world office buildings. We do all of those sourcing, implementing. A lot of it we create in-house, and project managing to take sometimes just the concept of an idea that a client has from concept to on the wall and everything in between. And we're blessed to have a team of talented designers, some of the best that you can probably imagine here, technical and creative project managers, and an incredible production team that is making frames, printing vinyl, cutting vinyl in-house, and taking a lot of pride in that work.
That's fantastic. I mean, that's really versatile. Obviously, different clients have different needs, and you're able to execute from concept to creation.
Yes.
What would you say, knowing your background, what allured you to a company that is creative?
Yeah. Honestly, it was serendipity more than anything. I had done the corporate thing. I learned a lot of lessons there. I think it's a great starting place for any young person, especially a young military person, because we're coming with such a limited exposure to true business. But I wasn't finding a lot of fulfillment in that, and I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I had a young son at home. I decided to be a stay-at-home parent, and between naps and he's up in the middle of the night, I would just send emails to investors looking to invest in ETA companies or ETA junior leaders, soon to be CEOs. And I found Southeast Acquisition Capital, which is based in Nashville. Michael Morosi and Jim Ward run an excellent outfit there, and they already had a target in Atlanta as I was looking for people to invest in the Southeast. ART and Associates happened to be that target. It happened to be 15 minutes up the road from me. And they knew they wanted to invest in employee-owned ESOP companies and do that 100% conversion, but put in their leadership kind of all the private equity efficiencies with all the ESOP upsides to the employees, and hybridize those two wonderful ideas. And I was their first, I and ART were kind of the first deal that they got across the line. I just happened to reach out to them when they were looking to get the deal done. I helped them with diligence. I became the CEO.
Yeah, right time, right place.
Yeah. I was like, if it's right up the street, I get to find a leadership role. We could have been doing anything in the world. It just happened that, working with creatives and designers, it's a very laid-back environment, a very, very innovative environment, and a very fast-paced environment. I like all those things as well.
And you have about 20 full-time employees, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a lot of dynamics with that size of a team as well. Yeah,
absolutely. It's so big I don't see everybody every day, but it's so small I see everybody every week, which I love. It reminds me of being back in the Army, where I could see my whole platoon. I could see most of the company that I was in. And I think that's a great place to come in as a junior leader or a junior CEO, is like, hey, I really can feel an issue to the lowest person, or see success to the lowest person. And I can see the benefit of structure coming in real time. So when ART grows, or if we make another acquisition that's larger, although I won't be able to see everybody every day like I can now, or go directly to the source, I can kind of see how those minor tweaks affect the organization through a microscope, so that when we're at a more macro level, I can also feel I'll have a better intuition for how that will be received.
Right. So I don't want to say you're getting in on the ground floor, but you're getting in when it is only 20 people, so that when it gets to be 200, there's some structure and semblance of direction. Yeah,
we're paying an information tax on growth organizations right now.
An information tax, that's great. Yeah. So as we talk about growth and what that means for ART and Associates and you and the acquisition capital behind you, what does growth feel like right now?
Yeah, growth feels like a lot of things at the moment. I mentioned creativity earlier, but I think the big growth that I'm feeling at the moment is growth can be in so many places and so many spaces at the same time. And it can be as exciting or as mundane as it needs to be, but the end result always feels necessary. So some of growth is just, hey, this was kind of a mom and pop operation, and we have to have an HR and eval system. That's not the growth work that gets on the news. That's not what we were promised by all the other podcasts about growth, where it's exciting and you're calling clients all day. But it's necessary. I can't say, hey, let's have 50 employees if we can't evaluate 20 employees. Right. So we have to put that process in place. But growth is also exciting things. I mentioned earlier, we're working on federal contracting, but it's also, I took the head of our ESOP communications committee, which is communicates employee ownership values throughout the company. I took her with me to the National Center for Employee Ownership conference in Milwaukee, and we met a ton of other employee owners, shared stories of successes, ways that we can make this run better, but we also met new clients. Meeting new clients is always exciting. And then there's always the, probably the middle tier of like, is our pricing strategy right? Is there a way to expand our pricing? Is there a way to, change our cost structure in a way that is as beneficial to everybody with as little pain as possible? So it's some of the more rote stuff. It feels like necessity. Right. Some of the medium stuff, it feels like business school, and some of the true growth revenue side stuff feels like a party. And all those things are true at the same time and in competition with one another.
It's the green light, yellow light, and red light method. Yeah. And it's all necessary, right? The business of owning a business doesn't go away just because you go from 20 to 50. It just becomes that much more expanded. Yeah. So I know you, again, just recapping, you've been with the company for about 7 months. You're implementing these structures and these strategies for growth. What does the next 5 years of growth look like? Yeah. I'm not going to hold you to it. I just want to understand where your vision is.
Yeah, of course. The next 5 years feels like 1 or 2 acquisitions within the ART holding company, our umbrella, which is the ESOP itself is the ART holding company, and the employees of ART and Associates are beneficiaries of that employees stock ownership plan, ESOP. So making 1 or 2 more acquisitions within that portfolio. Growth at ART, we're doing more museum and mounting and monument making work. I think we're expanding that quite a bit, finding more federal work, and then growing the team here. We are doing extremely well for a team with 20 people. I think with a couple more salespeople, a couple more designers, and some admin support, we can be doing really well. And then last but not least, there's probably a lot of meat left on the bones with the city of Atlanta, our current clients, and being not just the people they call for the same issues. We want XYZ framed, but like, if we've been doing framework with you for some of our clients over 25 years, the next time you need a big job, how can we be that first call? Yeah. And, business school, again, marketing 101 is easy to sell to people you already buy your product. How can we find ways to make more products more readily available? And then last but not least, the thing that we actually had this discussion yesterday, our website, I think, is great. Our team worked really hard on it. But I think as we've become kind of a new company in structure and size by becoming an ESOP, there's a need to redo our marketing to reflect our newest and greatest art, design, and implementation products, but also really define ourselves in the market as a high-end product rather than, right now we're kind of we have the appearance of a company that is your standard run-of-the-mill design firm. Yeah. Which there's a place for those companies. They're fantastic, but we're doing high-end work. We want our marketing to reflect that as well.
Absolutely. And I think that, being in the marketing and design field myself, usually when people are about to make that next leap or when they're about to acquire or be acquired within 3 years, they're already rethinking about how to rebrand their website, redo everything. So it's more in alignment with the vision that they want portrayed to the world, to investors, buyers, whatever the case is, clients especially, because it is your brochure to the world. So that makes sense. It's all super logical. You're looking at acquisitions, you're looking at kind of going more broadly into monuments and museums, hiring the team to get you there, sales, admin, and designers, utilizing relationships with older clients, and then just drawing more people in with your marketing. I think that's a excellent 5-point strategy. And I was holding my hands up for the people who are listening at home, just 5 points, high five. But there's more nuance to it as well, right? Because you can't just do one of these things and check it off and then move on to the next. It needs to be a cohesive movement of all 5, maybe in different degrees, again, using a traffic light. Some are going slower, some are going a little bit faster, but all are necessary to get you to where you want to go. All of this said, Jeff, what's holding you back?
At the moment, we are working through a bunch of self-directed audits to make sure we understand our books. We were doing cash-based accounting when we took over the company. We're trying to get to more standardized accrual-based accounting so we can project into the future. The biggest issue that we're having right now is that capture of accounting information. I have a wonderful senior accountant on the other side of the wall from me who's working her tail off, but we need to build the systems, processes, and have the historical data corrected to the point that we can move forward on that, because it makes it easier to say, hey, let's make this big capital expenditure on a new marketing campaign or start the process of a new acquisition. When I can say, hey, we're ahead this quarter and we're ahead for the next 3 quarters. Let's pull the trigger.
Right.
Versus cash-based accounting at times can feel like, well, whatever the bank says today.
Yeah.
And we're talking about long-term, 3 to 4 year kind of strategic moves. We need at least a 1 to 2 year out, pretty believable forecast on the accounting and finance side. So we're working diligently on that.
Yeah, the financial forecast is imperative if you're looking to buy 1 or 2 companies and grow your team in any which way.
Mm-hmm.
So makes sense. So as you work with your accountant or teams of people to make sure this happens, once that gets settled, then what's holding you back from the next stage of growth?
Finding the right target. I work hard with Southeast Acquisition Capital. They're members of our board, but they also are still looking for that next ESOP target. And for one specifically for the ART holding company. The difficulty is making the decision of, hey, is this going to be a near peer kind of company that we acquire? Hey, we do design work, maybe an architect is the right fit. So now we can do design build where we're actually moving walls and then doing the design that follows on from that. Or is it a diversified portfolio? Because at the end of the day, I'm in service of the employee owners and their shares. And hey, we need to go get a lawn mowing business right down the street so that we have a more flat, reliable, recurring revenue business supporting this, project-based business that we're running now.
Yeah.
So we're working through that logic and what's coming. The good news is that the silver tsunami, the retirement of the baby boomer generation and early Gen X that has been forecasted for like 20 years feels like it's really happening. There's a lot of amazing deals on the market. And there's a lot of people who don't want to exit in the traditional way to private equity or to strategic. And they want that, hey, I still want my name on the door. I still want my employees to feel like they got something after they supported me.
Right.
We're kind of hitting at the right time for this strategy.
Yeah. So I've never heard the silver tsunami. I'm going to start using that now.
Please do. I hadn't heard it until I acquired a business through one of the wonderful families that are retiring and they want to sell to an ESOP.
Yeah, and I think it's a great way to carry on a legacy, right? When you leave your company behind, you're leaving it in the hands of the people that helped you build it.
Yeah.
And they're going to continue it.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, it's just one of those really special things that I think not enough people know about, which is why I was excited to do this podcast. I think quite often when people think about exiting a building, exiting a business, all they're thinking about is how can I exit to the highest amount, because they're selling it to a private equity firm or strategic. It may feel impersonal, but I think there are a good number of people, a good number of owners, a good number of families who are like, hey, my kids don't want to run my business. I don't want some of the negative externalities that come from selling to a private equity player, I'll take a little bit less. Traditionally, ESOPs trade a little bit less. I'll still be set for the rest of my life. My kids will still be set for the rest of my life. It's not that much less. Deal with a little bit more complication on the exit, but know that I've taken care of, some companies, some ESOPs, 200 employees. We have 20 full-time employees, one part-time and one 1099. That's 22 people who are not experiencing some of the negative externalities of traditional private equity and experiencing all of the positive externalities of employee ownership. Yeah. And that's a wonderful, wonderful legacy to leave.
Yeah.
And the downside on paper is minimal, but the upside, in any way you define it, spiritually, socially, or community-wise, is exponential.
Yeah, and that's the whole point, when you see people as people and not dollar signs.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things I wouldn't have been able to articulate when I decided to become the CEO of an ESOP company. Like, I was interviewing with other people who I could have done a traditional private equity, and I'd own significantly more equity, and I'll have a significantly higher exit. But these are people, and they're really wonderful people. I have such a great team. Yeah. I'm glad I get to see them as my fellow shareholders and my fellow beneficiaries of the upside that we do. It changes the way I think as a leader. It changes the speed at which I move. It changes the way the board directs and supports the company. It's really fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's true leadership, when you are putting people first above profits.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Army values are still with me. Loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and perseverance, and personal courage, excuse me. But the one that sticks with me always is servant leadership. Is the essence of leadership in my estimation. I'm just following a long legacy of other people who've done that.
Yeah, and humble.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, Jeff, thank you so much for your time. Of course, thank you for your service to your country. For the listeners out there, I will include his information in the show notes so that you could reach out to him about ART and Associates, about ESOPs or anything else.
Please.
Geoffrey, again, thank you so much for your time. This has been fantastic.
Absolutely, and I appreciate you reaching out to me, and I'm so excited about the Think Small podcast and small business and growth in general. So you have a new listener in me. That was great. Thank you.
Welcome to the Think Small podcast, hypergrowth for small businesses. So, what's slowing you down?